Hey, this is Pat, and today we are checking out the all-new Alpinestars Missile V3 jacket. Now, the Missile V3 is one of the sportiest options within Alpinestars' line, which is basically the top half of the Missile race suit, which is one of the most popular in their line. So we've seen a very sporty, aggressive look. This is the airflow version on Norman on my left, and I really like the updates that they've gone through and put into this one. A few key changes when it comes to airflow, stretch, compatibility with the Tech Air systems, and then one massive upgrade on the back that I'll talk about when we swing Norman around. But I like this jacket. It's an overall leather main construction. You have a little bit of stretch, a little bit of 3D mesh, which they've added in for this generation, for this year. You get CE abrasion resistance as well as CE level 2 armor. So it really packs a heavy punch for summer riding out there for you sport bike riders, whether you're going for a track day look and you want the actual ability to make a two-piece race suit, if you're going out in the canyons, or if you just want a sporty, aggressive track level jacket out on the street, this is going to be a solid option for you, all coming in at the $650 price point, which is the same as what the Missile V2 was as well. So keep that in mind. No price change, but we're getting a lot of key feature updates that I'll talk about in a second that I really dig. But before we get too long-winded on that, let's talk about sizing. I got Norman here on my left. He is a very jealous 6'3". I wish I was that tall. He's 220 pounds with a 44-inch chest, currently wearing a size 54 in it, and it fits him spot on. He's got just enough room to add in a back protector and even sneak in a chest protector if he wants. If he was considering going with the Tech Air system, he'd actually go up to what his normal size on the sizing chart would be, which would be a 56, but here we have him sized down in a 54, and it's fitting him spot on without any sort of airbag system underneath there. So keep that in mind. If you're adding an airbag in, it's going to take up space. You need the space for expansion, so you want to factor that into your sizing. But if you're going and looking at the jacket on its own, one size down from the size chart. Looking at the main construction, I mentioned before, it is a perforated cowhide. It's got non-perforated zones, a little bit of stretch on the key parts, like in the armpit and at the sides, and then that 3D mesh up at the top. So there's going to flow a ton of air through and getting to the rider. But starting at the collar, it's probably one of my favorite features that they've done. They've made an extremely streamlined and thin microfiber main construction when it comes to the actual collar. It's actually just like laminated over, very thin. I like that. It's not going to be something that budges up or pushes up against you like the old leather one used to have. It's not going to be something that digs into your neck. It's going to be nice and comfortable for more all-day riding. That 3D mesh at the shoulder blades wraps up and over the collarbone. That's new for this generation, so I like that they've added that in there. And then it turns into full leather running down the outer side of the sleeve with an all-new updated DFS or dynamic friction slider system on the shoulders on here. It's much more streamlined, doesn't stick out as bulky as the previous edition did. It's actually like sandwiched around the leather as opposed to just being sitting on the outside. So I dig that look. You get that at the shoulder as well as the elbow. And then running down the sleeves here, you do have some perforation. It is a nice laser welded perf running down the outside, and then all that stretch that I mentioned before on the inside of it. So no adjustment points. That's one thing I would have liked to have seen, some way to like really hone it in, but how they tailor fit it is the stretch is actually doing all that job and really pulling in at the jacket. As you can see, it's got a nice svelte look on Norman here. The armor in the sleeves is going to be their all-new CE Level 2 Nucleon plasma armor. This is going to be a recycled material armor that's much thicker, has great ventilation and great movement to it, but it's going to be a CE Level 2 impact protector that you get at the shoulder as well as at the elbow, and you can go ahead and add that in to the back and the chest if you want. CE abrasion resistance, and that's really helping out with that DFS friction slider on the outside as well as that laser welded perf, but really just a seamless exterior to the forearm landing zone. And then the same construction that we saw with the collar down here at the cuff with a zipper and Velcro main closure system. Up at the top of the chest, working our way down, you do have a YKK zip with a Velcro garage over top of it, and then you have all that perforated leather running down. Now, normally I'd say I'd like to see localized perf instead of this perf that runs all the way to the edge. Localized perf usually gives a little buffer to the edge of it just to make sure that the seams aren't going through any of the perforated holes, but I'm okay with it on the torso. That's the one area I'm usually okay with it on there, just because it's not really a high abrasion zone. It's not a common area that you're going to be sliding down across the tarmac. Some more 3D mesh at the mid-torso, and then two hand warmer pockets on each side. And Norman, do me a favor, go ahead and turn to the side and hit that riding position for me. You can really see the massive chunk of stretch that they had on here. This used to be accordion leather, which is very heavy because it is cowhide and multiple pieces of cowhide actually layered onto itself, but they've replaced that with stretch all the way down the sides, which I really dig. And here at the outside, you can actually get a good glimpse at that new DFS or dynamic friction slider, the new generation of that, both at the elbow as well as the shoulder. More leather and perforation coming down the sides, and then you have one Velcro strap at the side with stretch underneath. You can go ahead and turn to the back for me, Norm. One of the biggest updates that we are seeing with this new generation, I mentioned it, that I'd say it when we got to the back, there is no longer going to be a race hump at the rear of the jacket. I think that makes it a lot more friendly for street riders out there. If you're running a backpack, if you have a passenger on the back, humps on the street don't really make much sense. It barely makes sense to most riders out there at the track without going at a certain speed. So I like that they've removed it and they replaced it with a huge panel of that 3D mesh with the Alpinestars logo on it. I really dig that. It's going to help remove all that hot air from the jacket and really help cool off of you as a rider when you're riding on those hot days. More perforated leather running down the entire center of the back with that stretch coming up and over the shoulder blades. Again, the name of the game here with this generation was more airflow, more stretch, and then that turns into compatibility with the airbag system as well, adding all that stretch for the deployment. Like I said, there's all that perforated leather running down to the back and a drop seat with the Alpinestars logo. And can you go ahead and turn to the front, Norman? Let's open that up and get a glimpse of the inside. One of the key updates, again, Tech Air has been rolling out in a few different advances. We saw the Tech Air 7X roll out this year in 2024 in the spring, and this is going to be the compatibility to add it into the jacket. Now, you can still run a Tech Air 5 or a Tech Air 10 if you're running it underneath of a pant as well, but this is going to be compatibility for the 7X if you wanted to zip it in and leave it within the jacket. When you get done riding, you can take it off. You're not have to take off another jacket underneath the bear. So I dig that they've added that into the jacket this year. This is going to be one of the first ones we've actually seen come to market with the straps there, so really excited to give the options for you 7X owners out there to go ahead and have some compatibility with a jacket. Pocket for the chest protector on the back, full circumference zipper on the inside, and then you got a couple storage pockets on the inside as well as a waterproof one on the left side. You can go ahead and zip that up for me. But again, I think they've added a lot of ventilation. They removed the race hump, which is one of my biggest pet peeves on street jackets, having a race hump on there. So I love that they removed that. They added a ton of stretch, and they still kept a leather main construction, all for that $650 price point. So it's hard to complain when Alpinestars is bringing an Apex level race jacket to the street riders out there, or those looking to build a two-piece race suit. But if you have any other questions about this jacket, click that info button. That's going to take you over to the product page where you can read other rider reviews and see what other riders are saying about it already. But if you have questions after that, or if you're curious about sizing or any Tech Air questions that you might have, reach out to our customer service team. They're all riders, happy to help you get set up for your next ride. I want to thank you for joining Norman and I in checking out the all-new Alpinestars Missile V3 jacket. I'm Pat, and I'll see you in the next video.